Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to Be My Guest. Today we have from East Providence an author, Belle DeCosta. Welcome, Belle.
Thank you.
I wonder why I want to say Bella. Belle. She has written 2 books. The first one was her memoir, Echoes in the Mirror, a memoir of an ordinary woman. When you meet her, she's not ordinary, she's fantastic. And Treading Water, a novel. This is the second one. This is the first one. And what got you into writing?
Actually, I'm spiritual. I believe in meditation, and I do a lot of that, angels and whatever. So I was meditating one night, and I kept downloading, write it down, write your story down. Yeah. And I'm like, and I meditated a couple other times, further along in the week and the month, and it just kept coming to me, write it down. So I said, you know what, I've had an interesting life, a different than some, and I felt I could help women. I could help other women that go through some of the things I went through. I'm big on some therapy. Yeah. That helped me immensely, so I wanted to put all that in there. That the right attitude during therapy can really help you get through just about anything. So I said, all right, you know what? I'm going to write it down. And I did, and I got the bug. I got the writing bug.
You got it. How many years ago did you write Echoes in the Mirror?
That was published in 2020, right in the heart of COVID. Right in the heart of COVID.
Did you do the cover yourself?
I did not. Stillwater River Publishing.
I know that. What's his first name?
Stephen Darkwater.
Good job. I like the compact, the little mirror there.
Yeah, they have a great graphic designer that did both my covers, actually.
So tell us what Echoes in the Mirror is like.
Echoes in the Mirror, I kind of I try to describe it as inspirational and optimistic and humor, good attitude, because so many memoirs are doom and gloom. I mean, naturally you've had a lot happen to you in your life, or you wouldn't have a story to tell in a book, But as I went, it was very cathartic, by the way, to look back on my life from the age and the position I'm in now, with a healthy perspective on all of this, mentally and emotionally. And so it was like I said, it was very cathartic. It was emotional. It took me about 2 years to write, and I did. I got it all down, and I wanted my daughter to know my story. Yeah. My daughter only knew me as mom. Yeah. I wanted her to know where I came from, and
Where did you grow up, Belle?
I grew up everywhere.
That's right.
Everywhere.
60. How many? 16.
17 houses in 16 years.
Was your father? Did he have to move moving up a company?
My father was an alcoholic who had friends in high places, and he worked for Kresge that later became Kmart. So. And he was good at his job. They'd put him in a store, he'd turn it around, and start making money. So before the alcohol caught up to him, they'd move him. So we just moved constantly.
Did he get into recovery finally?
No. My father passed he was 46.
Oh my God.
And he passed of lung cancer. But it was, he had smoked 3 packs of cigarettes from the time he was 9. He was from Appalachia country. And coal mining,
How did he meet your mother?
He met my mother. She was a cashier at Kresge's in New York, and he was in the assistant manager program. And a mutual friend introduced them while he was training in the store in Elmira. They dated. They had 12 dates before they got married.
Now, were you the only child?
No, I have a brother. I have a brother that's 2 years younger. And we're estranged. That's
yes.
Yeah.
Many of us can relate to that.
Yeah, but as I said, there's a lot of relatable things.
Yeah.
I called it, the memoir of an ordinary woman because I wasn't famous for anything. Most memoirs are, Patty Duke or Viola Davis, and I'm just like, I wanted regular, ordinary women to relate
Right.
to the story. You know,
I'm looking at the chapters. My God, hiccups and hormones. What was that about?
Hiccups and hormones. Exactly what it says. You know, you start. Could you tell me which chapter it is? Is it the beginning of the book?
It was in the part 1, A Paper Doll Family.
Oh, okay. Hiccups and hormones. That was, yes, that was when I first started dating. And, you know, you learn. You live and learn. I don't want to give away too much. But, yeah. So
And
that's
then you had one in part 2, Teenage Twilight Zone, Armageddon.
Armageddon. That's when things really fell apart for my family.
Yeah.
We moved from, my father was really bad, and we moved from Seekonk, where we'd only been for not even a year. And I felt at home. For the first time, I felt at home in school and with friends. And we were moving again. And I tried to talk to my mother, you know, listen, you've got to stop doing this. You can't keep moving your kids all over the universe.
Was he moving to other jobs all the time?
Other stores. Like I said, he had friends in high places.
The same thing in Kresge's or
In Kmart, they would send him to another store. So she just, that's when I finally confronted my mother about his issues and learned the truth of what my mother actually thought. She was afraid he was going to hurt himself.
Did she accept the truth, or she just was in denial?
She did not. You know, she did not accept the truth until we moved to Armageddon.
Yeah.
And then she had no choice. He had a total
proverbial last
breakdown.
straw. What was that?
That was when I left home at 16.
16. Where did you go?
I got married.
Oh God, that's right.
I got married at 16. Not pregnant, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
But the proverbial last straw was my father's breakdown, his meltdown, and he was starting to get physical. To this point, he was never physically violent, very verbally and emotionally abusive, but never phically. And he was taking it out on my brother, and I finally just said, this is out of control.
Yeah.
So I confronted my mother, and I actually locked my brother in the attic so he'd be safe. And then I barricaded my father in the bedroom and told him if he came out, I would call the police. I'm 15 years old, you know.
Yeah.
So, and my mother was crying on my bed, don't call the police, I love them. And that was the proverbial straw. That was the straw. And I said, no, I can't do this anymore.
Did anybody find Al-Anon back then?
No. We did go to family counseling. My father signed us up for family counseling that he went to for a couple months before the family went. And she was, again, I'm a big fan of psychology, and psychiatrists and psychologists, they do a lot of help, give a lot of help to a lot of people. But she was terrible. And she had bought into, he was very charming, my father. He looked like Dean Martin. He looked exactly like Dean Martin.
And Dean had a problem.
And there you go. But he, so she bought into his, you know, my brother and I were bad kids. We were troubled kids, blah, blah, blah. And none of which was true, either one of us. So.
That's a lot to go through. Mike, we're talking with Belle DeCosta, and she wrote, this is the first book, Echoes in the Mirror, a memoir of an ordinary woman. How could they get a hold of your book, Belle?
They can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's in local bookstores, Barrington Books, which up in this part of the world, I guess, is quite a haul. Stillwater Books. They can get it from me at www.belledecosta.com. I have a website.
Where have you been appearing lately? Or where are you going to be appearing coming up? So they can find you.
I've been doing a lot of festivals because this is the time of year for the fall festivals. I did the Bristol in the spring, Bristol, Rhode Island, their art festival. I'm doing their Harvest Festival this weekend. Situate Art Festival, Sunday and Monday. I did a book signing at Stillwater. So, you know, here, there. and
You're getting there.
everywhere.
Yeah,
I'm getting
out there.
Yeah.
That's so important. I'm just looking at all the parts here. Character building. Belle does a thing called Tap in Time. Tell us about that.
Oh, yeah, that's my pride and joy. I had a dance studio for 25 years. I ran a dance studio, and at a young age, I had to have both hips replaced. So I continued with the studio 5 years after that, but I couldn't do the fun stuff. I had teachers teaching for me. I was kind of like just running the business end of things. And so it was too depressing for me. So I decided it was time for a change. My mother, God rest her soul, she always ran my front office. She was the lady at the desk, Grandma Lois, they used to call her. And she would love the tap dancing.
Yeah.
So when she got diagnosed with Alzheimer's and she got to the point where I had to put her in assisted living, I would bring in her favorite songs and her tap shoes and would sit in the chair because I was afraid of her falling at that point.
Yeah.
And would tap. And I looked and it would cheer her up. And I would look around and everybody else in the recreation was trying to do it.
Yes.
And I said, you know what? There's a need for this. So I picked the brains of physical therapists and geriatric nurses and and what would be and I just played around with it, different rhythms, different music, and I developed classes for 2 stages of dementia and 1 for assisted living, 1 for senior centers. So it's all different levels, but it's basic. I glued taps to the bottoms of slippers regular because I had to have something that would fit various sizes and I could disinfect.
Yeah.
You know what? So I glued taps to them and they put their tap shoes on.
And this is what the residents can do.
And the residents do.
I've never heard of what you do. Do you do it local up here or is it in Rhode Island?
I do Rhode Island and in Massachusetts. Before COVID, I had a lot. I had a lot more facilities. I had a wonderful woman that worked with me. She was an activities director for 30 years before she got into this and working for me. So we were. I was starting to get into Connecticut even a little bit, and she was up in Westboro, that area.
That's right up here.
Yeah. But after COVID, I just. Well, she was going to retire actually the year COVID hit, so she retired, and I just for those 2 years that I had, I'm like, I don't need to work this hard. I don't need that kind of money to live, and I got into writing. So, and I got my grandson.
And you're doing the Tap in Time now too.
I'm doing the Tap in Time now, but I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it just me. I don't have a woman that works for me.
No, but how do you get the word out? This is awesome. How do the nursing homes and all the other places find out about you?
Well, at this point, it's word of mouth. I've been doing this for 15 years, so at this point, it's word of mouth. But I also have a website for Tap in Time.
Tell us. Go for it.
It's at www.taptherapy.com.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
My mother would have loved this. I guess when she was young, she liked tap dancing.
Yeah. Oh, so many of them say that. So many of them say that. And of sometimes I'll use music. I play it by because every day is a new day with dementia. So I play it by ear. Yeah. But most of the time they thrive on the music of their children. Yeah. Like say from the 50s and the 60s, and more so than. Shine on Harvest Moon or Me and My Gal, they tend to respond better to that music.
What age group are you looking at? I'm thinking if it was my parents' age group, they would be into big band and stuff like that.
Yes. Well, it depends. It depends. I go from. I have actually one gentleman's 106 years old.
All right.
And he comes
I'm hearing
to my
about this type
class.
of thing constantly now.
Well, music's the last thing you lose in your memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I'm going to keep that in mind. We'll get you up this area. This would be great. There's so many places. I love this.
Mm.
All right. Now, this is her most latest book called Treading Water. And this is a novel. Belle, what's this about?
That is about a woman named Caroline McMerritt. She's a little witchy, high-powered, very rough around the edges, aggressive. She works for an advertising firm in Manhattan. She's always been a city girl, loved the city. Well, she has a meltdown over a certain circumstance. And the company tells her to take the summer off and clean up her act.
Right.
So she has a brother that she's very close to, and he suggests she go to the family cabin in Maine,
Yeah.
which she hated even as a child because she's always liked the hustle and bustle. So she goes there, and she finds her deceased mother's journal. So it's about how her mother's journal helps her through her own transition,
Yeah.
and helps her deal with her own issues. And she learns about her mother as a woman, not just a mom, because the journal, obviously her mother wrote it.
How long did it take you to write Treading Water?
About a year and a half. About a year and
Where'd
a
you
half.
get the idea from?
Just
came.
It just came. And I don't. I have no formal training in writing at all, none. And so I've been educating here, there. I guess there's pantsers, there's outliners, there's this, no outline or anything.
You just sit at the computer and let her rip.
Yep, and let it rip, and then I go over it
Then
and
go
over it and
edit
over
it.
it, and yeah.
I know, it's a funny thing. Some writers still are doing it by hand. They feel better with the control of their hand writing it. They bring along their notebook everywhere.
I've heard that, yeah. I've heard that.
That sounds more fun in a way, but I love to type. Oh my God. 100
Yeah.
words a minute.
Well, I type like this 100 miles a minute, but no, I can't. My penmanship's terrible. I write like a doctor. I should have been a doctor. So I have made notes. Like if I'm at lunch, on the road working, and something comes to me, I'll make a note. But
Now, Treading Water, you're still getting both books out there, right?
Yes, both
okay,
books,
she's got,
absolutely.
Okay, the
In
memoir
fact,
and,
yeah.
and the story. Is this more of a mystery, would you say? Or what,
no, it's more of a I call it a chick flick in a book. It's more about the relationship of mother-daughter. It's also spiritual. There's a cardinal that represents her mother's spirit.
I see it on the cover.
The cardinal represents her mother's spirit. I love nature.
Yeah.
I do. When I say I meditate, I don't, just
it's
sit
not
there and
the old-
formally. No, exactly.
No.
I walk in the woods. I'm really in tune to that, and it clears my mind. It clears my angst. It just it puts me to a different level, and I wanted that in that book. That's what helps her. She also finds friendship because she's always been at such a fast-paced life and ambitious that she's never really had a close friend. Mm-hmm. So she finds friendship. She finds love.
I like this. Right on the cover is the seal. And this one is you were a finalist in the Indie Book Awards.
Yes. Yep.
How's that for your first novel?
I was thrilled. In fact, I got the letter and I had to read it twice because I'm like, I can't, because like I said, it is my first endeavor. Yeah. Echoes was difficult emotionally, but I had the I had the storyline and I had the characters and I get the story was right there.
Well, how can they get a hold of you, Treading Water?
Treading Water, again, my website, and the bookstores and Amazon and Barnes and Noble, and come to the festivals.
Yeah, which festival's coming up? Were you thinking?
I'm going to do the Bristol Harvest Festival on Saturday, and I'll be at Situate Art Festival Sunday and Monday, and I'll do the Small Business Association. Again, it's Rhode Island at the Crown Plaza. They have a craft fair, an indoor craft fair.
Is that over in Marlborough, Mass, or is that
No, that's in Warwick, Rhode Island, and there's also the ARIA Expo is coming up.
Yeah, now Steve Porter is he still the president of that?
He's not. Mike, I can't say Mike's last name. It's awful. Scataros, yeah, but John and Steve are still very involved.
Yeah. He used to be over at Roads on the Pawtucket. We went to that. It was like overwhelming.
It is overwhelming. Well, we're now at the Crown Plaza because 2 years ago, last year.
Yeah.
Well, COVID hit and they didn't have it, but last year, roads in Pawtucket started sinking.
Yeah.
So they had to bring it over to the Crown Plaza.
So you've been in it how many times now? In that?
Just once.
Were you overwhelmed?
I was.
I went and we were. There's no way I could get to every single author, and I hate to pass by someone's hand. It's like going into a shelter and you look at the dog. He's looking at you. Like,
I know.
Oh my God! It was. I said to the author, "How are you doing?" And she said, she's overwhelmed. And I said, yeah, so am I.
Yeah.
And once it gets around, I have my car that they know who I am. I go, oh, I want to meet,
Yes.
So were you in the back, the middle, or the front?
I was, well, the Crown Plaza, they had them along the outside, the hallway.
Yeah.
So I wasn't in the hallway, but I was in the ballroom around the side. I mean, around the sides, and then they have the middle, and then there were just, we have, I think we're over 250
So which book
members
did you have
now.
both books at?
I had both books. Treading Water had just come out.
Yeah.
Had just come out for the expo last year. So,
Yeah.
and I'm writing the sequel to that.
Okay, that's what I was going to find out next. We're talking with Belle DeCosta, and she's an author, and she's going to have a sequel to Treading Water. What's that going to be all about?
It's going to take the characters. It starts 4 years after this one ends, and it takes the characters and their relationships and where they've developed and the glitches they're coming into. And
Is it going to be a series?
no, I don't think so. I think the next one will be, because I've already got something in my mind.
You've
that
already
I'd
got
like to
something for
put-
the one after this.
Yes,
When do you think the next Treading Water one will be out?
that'll be out by January, February.
Wow,
Yeah.
you've got something to look forward to.
I was trying to get it out for this, but I can't. I don't want to rush it.
No,
And
no. What is your? You have a daughter,
I do have a daughter.
and she has a new grandchild, a boy, right?
A boy, yes.
What does your daughter think about your writing?
She's my daughter's very supportive of anything I
Yeah.
do. I was
Yeah.
basically a single parent, so we were very, very close. And I was a single parent, but I had a village.
Yeah.
They say it takes a village. I had a very strong
Right.
support group, but she's very supportive. The one I'm going to start after this sequel.
Mhm.
I entered it. It had to be an unpublished. It was a contest, and it had to be an unpublished first paragraph.
Mhm.
So I sent it. It didn't win anything, but she read that and she goes, oh, "That's what gets more up her alley
Right,
than
yeah.
something like this."
This
So
is any indication that she may be a writer too?
no, she's an architect. She's
Doesn't mean she can't do it someday, though.
Well, she won awards in high school for writing.
She did.
Yeah, I mean, believe me, Jan, I never thought I'd write. I mean, I that wasn't even
You're a
anything that
natural.
occurred to
I
me.
mean, So moving 16 times
Oh, it was
in how many years?
17 times in 16
So
years.
it almost didn't pay to make friends.
No, it was very, very difficult. There was only twice in my lifetime that I started and finished school in the same school, like September and June.
Did you get to graduate in a high school?
No, I did not graduate because I got married at 16.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and
Did you get a GED at all?
I did.
You
Yes,
did.
I
Good.
did. Yes,
Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
I can't. Your life was so opposite from mine in that aspect. I can't imagine at 16 being married.
Yes, and I to get out of an alcoholic home, married a drug addict. So,
They say that
you
tends
do
to
that.
happen.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and so he's not there anymore. He's
Oh no! I got, but him and I left him. Actually, my daughter was 6 weeks old.
Yeah.
6 weeks old.
You
'Cause
knew. You knew.
Well, I wasn't going to let her grow up in a house
Yeah.
like I grew up in.
So what brought you to East Providence?
Well, I got married. He was a Seekonk boy, so I got married and I was in Seekonk and I lived there. Raised my daughter in Seekonk, and 8 years ago I got divorced for the second time, and it was East Providence was more conducive to a single income, so I moved over to East Providence.
Is that where
Plus-
Mineral Spring Avenue is?
no, that's North Providence.
Okay.
You're thinking North
Oh,
Providence.
East
yeah.
Providence. I used to have friends who lived. It wasn't far from the highway. I can't think of the road.
But Kent Heights, probably, but that area.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I went to East Providence was because it was more affordable, but I also had to stay close to the highway because I was working all over the place.
Yeah.
So
What's your schedule like with Tappan Time?
my schedule now, I work 3 days a week. I work 3 days a week now. I used to do 5. I used to do 3 classes 5 days a week, and Sharon, the woman that worked with me, she would have 2 a day, 5 days a week. We were all over.
Yeah.
But now I just do the 3 days a week because I want a day with my grandson and I want a day to write. So
How did you, when you got it out there, it was word of mouth, but did you actually have to email or walk in literally to a place and say,
Oh,
this
I
is-
did cold calls. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. What I did was I would call. Like again, we're going back 14, 15 years ago. I just got a list off the computer of all the nursing homes, assisted livings,
Yeah.
whatever. I would call, talk to the activities director, or leave it, and then I do a follow-up call. I had brochures made, and those that didn't return my call, I would go physically in and leave
That's
the
the way
brochure.
to do it.
Oh yeah, hit the pavement.
Exactly.
Hit the
I tell
pavement.
my authors, of course, I give them every contact they should connect with. And I say, she said, well, what happens if they're not answering my email? I said, you must be persistent, then try the phone. If that doesn't work, go in person if you can.
It's very hard for people to turn you away in person.
Yes, it is. What I hate is a gatekeeper. Oh, I ran into this in the corporate world. I hate it.
Yeah.
Urgh. You feel like you've got to take them out to lunch just to get in the door.
Yes, exactly. But for Tap and Time, that wasn't it so much. It was just getting, because they have entertainers that they've had for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So they only have this much of a budget. So I would offer a free half-hour class so they could see what I do.
Yeah. And it worked.
And it works. And then word of mouth, and that's.
And it's gelled.
And it's gelled.
How do you find time and write your books too?
I'm a slow writer.
Okay.
I'm a slow writer. Like I said, it takes 1.5 to 2 years for me to write a book. So
We've been talking with Belle DeCosta, and she wrote, this is her memoir, Echoes in the Mirror, and then her novel, Treading Water, which there'll be a sequel to that. And one more time, how can they get a hold of these?
they can get them on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com. That's Kindle and Nook also. And my website, www.belledecosta.com. Stillwater Books, Barrington Books.
Also, these are going to be they'll be downstairs in the library here at Upton in the dedicated local authors section. I don't know if you've heard of what's going on here, but our library downstairs is moving. There's a great big beautiful building, community center being right over there being built.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really something. A lot of libraries have been kind of like stepping it up lately. I don't know if you've noticed it. I don't know if I went to any libraries when I lived in Providence. I don't think so. There's one in North Providence. Yeah.
Well, Providence itself has a beautiful library.
That's huge. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
Well, I think she's going to be back with us because she's got the sequel, Treading Water. Okay. All right. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And see you next time and be my guest.
Riding on a shooting star, heading out toward a dream. Tomorrow's even closer than it seems.